No one knows exactly what is on the moon. Writers and scientists have tried to imagine and calculate the answers. But we are the first men alive who ever had a chance to know the answers.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
President Lyndon Johnson, quote, "Our plan to place a man on the moon in this decade remains unchanged." Under the management of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, a total national effort was launched to meet one of the greatest challenges of all time. A project so vast that even at the beginning of this century, it would have been beyond the dreams of the most imaginative writers of science fiction. Yet, in 1901, a novel called First Men in the Moon envisioned a voyage through space. It was written by a famous author named H.G. Wells. It quickly became a classic of its kind. When the real moon project was activated, producer Charles Schneer conceived the idea of reconciling the rapid advances man was actually making in the conquest of space with Wells' story of man's adventure on the moon. What Schneer proposed was not a cartoon, but a full-length live-action feature production in color, with such stars as Edward Judd, Martha Hyer, Lionel Jeffries. To accurately portray a world-shaking achievement, which will not take place until at least 5 years after the film is made, creates some very special problems in motion picture production. To help solve them, Schneer calls on Ray Harryhausen, one of the most respected creators of special effects in the industry. The result? Scenes like this remarkable representation of the interior of the moon. Wells imagined a spacecraft almost spherical in shape. It had the power to shut off the force of gravity by lowering these blinds. It was studded with railroad bumpers designed after the perilous journey through space to cushion the impact of the lunar landing. These are prototypes of actual spaceships. Soon they will set out on a 500,000-mile journey through space. The task of the picture maker is different. He must create the event before it happens. He must be accurate and realistic, yet true to the fictional values of the exciting story he has to tell. This model, created from Harryhausen's sketch, brings out in three-dimensional detail the features of the spacecraft, while the completed drawing gives cameramen and production crews an accurate idea of the effect to be achieved when the moon landing is photographed. Wells knew that moon travelers would have to wear spacesuits. Here is this year's model. A rehearsal is in progress for the depiction of what will surely be the most climactic instant of the 20th century, the moment when a man from Earth first sets foot upon the moon. Before he can dramatize this moment cinematically, the producer finds some unanswerable questions that must be answered. The script calls for a close shot of the fateful instant. How to photograph this scene? What is the actual surface like? How much dust? How to reproduce on film a shade of white, which will express the terrible intensity of the sun's glare on the airless surface of the moon. The combined talents of research chemists, scenic designers, lighting technicians, and film laboratory are required before the shooting of one of history's monumental moments, a moment which will surely come to pass as the astronauts of the Apollo project complete their mission and return safely to Earth, to be hailed for all time as the first men in the moon.